Hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Hey guys, how was your Memorial Day? Matt and Megan are with us here.
Good.
It was wet.
Good.
It was wet. It was wet.
Yeah.
So Megan, you're here and you didn't get to go somewhere. You had what might be the traveler's worst nightmare.
I travel a lot. Last Wednesday was rough. I spent 2 hours at the Austin airport in the very early morning standing in line and going to the desk of every major airline trying to find a flight that would get me all the way to Cancun for a business trip, not even for vacation. This is for business. And nobody could not a single airline could get me to Cancun on Wednesday. Nobody could get me there till like late afternoon or evening on Thursday. So by then my business trip was half over. And so the whole thing got canceled. And now I'm having to fight to get my miles back that I used or my points back that I used with American and Chase. Oh.
Did you try Spirit?
Yeah.
Too soon? I'm sorry.
No, not too soon because they were never really there. So, I mean, Spirit,
Hey, Spirit never left late though, and
they just never left at all.
Hey, they're not leaving us with much either.
No, they are not. They did not leave us with a whole
Wednesday
lot.
Was
but, well, we're sorry to hear that, but, hopefully there will be better travel times ahead. So, one of the things that we're talking about tonight, it's game night tonight, but before we get to game night, we thought we'd take care of this first, our question of the week. If you remember last week, we talked a lot about our favorite things and rearranging Epcot, and one of the topics that came up was rearranging and adding or changing around meet and greets over in Epcot, and you spoke out loud and clear you want some Mary Poppins in the UK. I was actually surprised at that Baymax number. Weren't you guys?
I'm surprised by the Coco number because so many people we've heard a lot of fans clamoring for Coco somewhere at Disney World.
Yeah.
But that got the least support of anything.
Well, he's in the Mexico Pavilion, isn't he? In Spirit.
There's
a little thing of him and Dante, technically, right?
Yeah, but there's no meet and greet over there.
Right, there's no meet and greet though.
Well, that was one of the things I thought about too. Is that little show that they put together towards the Futureland side? They have the Encanto dance thing. Well, you can move that over in the Animal Kingdom, and you can bring Coco over there and still have the same concept. So
yeah, you could.
Communicore Hall. There we go.
Yeah, Communicore Hall. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, I have to admit, guys, this was really surprising. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. I was expecting to see the Coco number be higher. I was expecting the Baymax number to be higher. But I was not expecting the Mary Poppins number to be that strong.
Yeah.
So it was very, very surprising. But tonight, though, we are going to game night. That's right, folks. It is game night. We'll do it this way so it's easier for folks to see. And so, we are playing, once again, the return of Two Truths and a Lie. But this time it's Epcot edition. How well do you know Epcot? And, of course, remember, for those, if you're watching live, be sure to comment out. And if you have you want to make a guess too, definitely do so. So 2 truths and a lie. So with that, we're going to jump right on in. So
hard. There was a lot with Epcot. There a lot of things have changed. A lot of things were planned that happened or didn't happen. I feel like Epcot could be a really hard one.
This could be challenging. And so let's start off with what hopefully is a pretty easy one. What does Epcot stand for? Does it stand for, or has been referred to as, the Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow, the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, or the Experimental Prototype Collection of Tomorrow?
Oh dear, I should know if this is city or community. I know
it's not 3. I'm just trying to figure out community or city.
Yeah, Nick is jumping on in already. Nick says 3 is the lie, and of course that is correct. Because it is not the Experimental Prototype collection of tomorrow. Walt Disney, in the original Epcot film, he referred to it both as Epcot City of Tomorrow and Epcot Community of Tomorrow. So that's why both are considered correct, because Walt Disney did reference them both officially. Officially, Epcot is Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. So next up, what was Epcot's secret name? When Epcot was being developed, was it called the Orlando Project? Was it called the Florida Project? Was it called Project X? The official name of the project that became Epcot.
I feel like 2 is true. I'm between 1 and
was
3.
2 See, this is where I get tripped up, because when I
So
think of
Nick
the
is once again jumping in. He says 3 is the lie. We'll see if he's right. Go ahead, Megan.
What gets me tripped up here is the Florida Project. I feel like that might have been what they called the Disney World Project.
Well, remember that this was the
Right.
whole, remember Disney World at that time was Epcot. Remember, Epcot was Disney World.
That's what I was gonna
I
say,
was thinking Magic
yeah.
Kingdom's first.
No, not Magic Kingdom. No, remember, Epcot originally was the
gonna
Experimental
be-
Prototype Community Tomorrow, and that was all of Disney World.
That was going to be like
So-
the hub of Disney World, basically.
Was going to be the hub of Disney World, but
Yeah,
that
that's why I
whole,
think
it was,
the
what was the project
Florida
that was
Project.
all part of?
I want to say 1 is the lie.
I'm going to go with Matt on this one. I think they didn't use the word Orlando.
And you would be correct. At first, it was known as Project X secretly, and then later, as it came out, then the official name was was the Florida Project. And in fact, that's when I called it in the last question. I said the Epcot film. Actually, I kind of fibbed, because it was not the Epcot film; it was the Florida Project film officially, is what it was called. But I didn't want to give that one away. So, Epcot originally, and then we're talking about the city Epcot, was to be home to about 20,000 residents. It was influenced by German planners, and it heavily used monorails and people movers. So which is the lie?
It's 1 or 2, because I know monorails and people movers are going to be heavily used. People movers
Okay.
primarily to get to the outskirts, and they're going to use the monorails primarily within the city. So it's either 1 or 2, and I feel like it was more residents. So I'm going to say 1 again.
I'm going to say 1 also. I think that 20,000 is wrong.
All right. And the answer actually was 2. It actually was a British planner
Okay.
instead of a German planner. And so that radial or circular pattern was developed by British planner Ebenezer Howard. So it actually was a British planner on that one. That was one that I just happened to look and like, okay, I'll do that. How well do you know your original Epcot icons? So, yeah, Nick said he had no idea. He said it would have been a complete guess. So, which
I mean, that's
of
pretty much
these,
what Matt and I are doing here.
which of these 3? Here are 3 Epcot icons, but which ones are the originals and which is the lie? It's not.
I feel like the middle
original.
one was 1. I'm stuck
Yeah.
between 1 and 3.
And I think the one on the left is 1. I'm going to say the one all the way to the right. So I guess
Yeah,
like
me
3
too.
maybe?
That's the way I was leaning.
All right. And I got to get in the right window. There we go. Yeah,
Nick
and Nick was correct again. He said 3 is the lie. That's correct. So the first one is the Imagination Pavilion icon. The second is Spaceship Earth. And the third is the icon for Journey of Water, which obviously is not an original icon. All righty. So in the beginning of Epcot, building the park, now we're talking about Epcot the park. The park cost about as much as $1.4 billion to create. It's just under twice as large as the Magic Kingdom, and it took exactly 3 years to build. Which is the lie?
You know what's funny? I'm reading the Imagineering book right now, and they're actually creating Epcot in the spot that I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of just like, I'm trying to dig
Pull
deep
out
a
your
little
book.
bit. What's that?
Pull out your book. Start flipping.
It's upstairs. I mean,
Answer.
blank screen.
Matt will be right back.
I feel like
Nick says
One-
2. Okay.
I feel like 1.4 billion back then feels like a lot.
I feel like 3 years is true, but I also feel like it's too long. I feel like it didn't
And
take
that
them
might
3 years to
actually be a
build.
typo, guys. That probably should be an M, not a B.
Okay, I was gonna say billion.
sorry, guys.
That sounds like a
No,
lot.
sorry. That should be a million, not a billion. I just noticed
Okay,
that.
okay.
No, sorry, 1.4 million.
Then
Sorry, that's my fault. 1.4 million, not billion.
I'm gonna go with 3. But this is where like we need Hawk, because I feel like Hawk knows these things about the sizes of the park, so he'd be able to look at number 2 and like immediately know if that's right or not. And I don't know that stuff.
It's just under twice as large as Magic Kingdom. I feel like that's true. I feel like it's 3, and I feel like it didn't take 3 years to build. I feel like it took less.
Actually,
it was
no. And here's the thing. It's actually larger than twice the size of the Magic Kingdom. And actually, it did take exactly 3 years to build, like to the day. Groundbreaking was October 1st, 1979, and it opened October 1st, 1982. And again, that was 1.4 million to be correct. It's 1.4 million. So, the official dedication, though, for Epcot was not until October 24th, even though it opened, but the official dedication was October 24th, 1982. World Showcase opened with 9 pavilions, and Future World opened with 5 pavilions.
I need a map.
I feel like 3's the lie.
That's what I'm leaning towards as well.
Okay.
Pretty sure 2 is true.
And you are correct. It actually had 6 pavilions, not 5. It was Spaceship Earth, Communicore, Imagination, Land, Energy, and Motion. Correct. At the opening, adult tickets were $15 each. There were both senior and child tickets available. And Rick says he was going to say 1 on the previous question. And the Sherman Brothers wrote 2 songs exclusively for Epcot.
I feel like 3 is true. 15 at the time for Epcot. Yeah, I could see that. Senior and child tickets. I'm going to say 2 is the lie.
I'm gonna say 1.
All right. Actually, 2 is the lie. It was not a senior ticket. However,
There were junior
adult tickets were $15, but there was a junior ticket at the time. So for 11 to 17, you got $1 off, and kid tickets were only another $2 off for 3 to 11. So don't you wish you had ticket prices like that these days?
Can we adjust that for inflation? Let's find out what that really looks like today.
Yeah, it would be
Those are
interesting to
not
see.
the right numbers either.
It would be interesting to see. So, alrighty. So, Horizons was added in 1984. Morocco was also added in 1984, and The Living Seas was added in 1986.
You know what? Nick was really quick to say number 1 here. I'm just going to go with him because I don't know the answer to this. I'm pretty sure Living Seas was 86. But I have no idea about Horizons and
Yeah,
Morocco.
I'm talking about Living Seas because I feel like I don't know Living Seas without Nemo, so I know that was a later movie. Horizons was added in 84. I feel like that one's true. I'm going to go with 3.
All right. It actually
was
was Horizons, because Horizons
83.
actually opened in 83. It was 1 year earlier. Also added in 1988 was the Norway Pavilion, and Wonders of Life came around in 1989.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, Spaceship Earth. So it runs about 15 minutes. It is a geodesic polyhedron, and it's been updated 4 times.
It has to be.
I think it's
3, right?
1. I think it's longer. I think it's over 20, isn't it? Or closer to 20.
Has it only been updated 4 times? I feel like it's more than 4 times.
Nick
I'm going to go
says
with 3.
Nick says 3.
I think it's 1.
I agree with Nick on this.
All right, and actually you're correct. Here's the funny thing. It should have been updated 4 times. So updated in 1986, 1994, and 2007. However, there was an announced 2020 update that was coming, announced at D23, and you're going to hear a recurring theme here a few times, canceled due to the pandemic. So the pandemic was not kind to Epcot. You will see that a time or two through here. But yes, originally it was supposed to have been updated 4 times, but it did
Well, at this
not.
point, what's stopping them?
Well, like anything else, I think they're having to
Scrap
shift
it.
again. Yeah. So Walter Cronkite was the first narrator. The outer surface is made of a substance called alucobond, and rainwater that falls onto Spaceship Earth is collected and sent to the World Showcase Lagoon. Yeah, Nick says, I'm really curious of what they will do to the Wonders of Life Pavilion, aren't we all? Because there needs to be something done to Wonders of Life Pavilion. Again, when you go back to last week's show, we did a lot with Wonders of Life.
Yeah.
Frankly, we did a lot like scrapping it. So
I'm gonna say, oh, man, I'm gonna say 2's the lie. I don't know why, because I feel like 3
I'm going to say 3. I'm going to go with 3.
sounds too far out there, but I feel like the answer is 2 and it's a different material.
okay, actually, it's 1. So the first narrator actually was Vic Perrin. Walter Cronkite, remember those updates? Walter Cronkite came with update 1 in 1986. Jeremy Irons came with update 2 in 1994, and James Duty Dench came with update 3 in 2007. Of course, still remains the current narrator.
Matt
Nick
and I
says
are
he was
going-
torn between 1 and 2, and it was 1. Yeah.
Matt and I can claim, being young. We're too young for,
I
Yeah, I was
remember.
gonna say.
I do remember vaguely the Vic Perrin narration, and I never got a chance to see in person the Walter Cronkite version. I've heard it, and then of course I do very much remember Jeremy Irons before James Duty Dench came in 2007.
Yeah, I don't remember Jeremy Irons, and I
Yeah,
was
Jeremy
there
Irons was a
twice
good
before they
version.
switched it.
Yeah. So in Spaceship Earth, Neil Armstrong's quote is the only other audio you hear in the current narration, as far as like a spoken audio clip, in the narration itself. The Islamic scholars and Gutenberg scenes have 4 hidden Mickeys in them, and the child in the printing press is always faced away.
I've ridden this ride so many times, I'm starting to look for hidden Mickeys. Let's try to point them out. So, I feel like 2 is true. I'm going to say 1. I don't know why.
Nick thinks 2 is the lie. Megan?
I'm going to go with Nick. I think 2 is the lie.
Actually, it's 3.
Oh,
The
what's
child
that
in the
one?
printing press always never actually at a time, and in the original versions, he was faced the other direction. And when that happened in the 2007 update, I remember it. It was quite the kerfuffle. There's your word of the day, kerfuffle. And their fans were furious that they turned the child around. And oh, by the way, just to prove it, yes, there are 4 hidden Mickeys. Here they are. I took all these shots. Best seen from the left side of the seat. A couple of these you can't see from the right side. So the first one is in the Islamic scholars portion of that. The second is devilishly hard to see unless you happen to get lucky and slow down. It's where the monk there is transcribing. The third one is very easy to see if you happen to be right, and it's there in the right after the Gutenberg section, and there's the painting going on before we get to the Michelangelo scene. And then the last one you can only see in the left. If you're in the right, you have no chance because you have to look down to see it. So yes, there are 4 hidden Mickeys there. All right, so let's move over to the Living Seas. So at opening, it boasted the largest saltwater tank in the world. The tank holds about 4 million gallons, and originally guests entered using the hydrolators.
I'm going to go with 2.
Okay.
I'm going to, oh man. So it opened in 86.
Nick says 3.
I think I'm going to go 2 as well. I don't know
All
why.
right, and you are correct. And actually, it's 5.7 million gallons, and currently is the second largest seawater aquarium in the U.S. behind the Georgia Aquarium,
Yeah, I was going to say Georgia.
and it's still in the top 10
Wow.
globally. So pretty impressive. So the pavilion was rethemed to The Seas with Nemo beginning in 2005. And our first our ride vehicles are called Clammobiles, and it is the first Epcot pavilion to be themed after a Disney / Pixar movie. Nick says now he's mad. No, don't be mad. What do you think, guys?
Epcot Pavilion themed. Well, yeah, because Nemo was one of the first Pixar films between like Toy Story and all that. So 3 makes sense. I'm gonna say it's 2. I don't think they're Claymobiles. I think they're called something else. I just can't tell you what.
I'm gonna say 1. I don't think it's 2005.
You're actually correct. It was 2005, but it's called The Seas with Nemo and Friends. I left off a little detail to see if I could catch you. And Nick said 2. Unfortunately, no. It's actually was number 1, and yes, they are called Claymobiles. Yep. Alrighty.
Right for the wrong reason, but I was still right.
You were still right. A Kuka robotic arm is used in one scene. Dolphins are no longer in the aquarium, and the entire movie cast reprised their roles.
I'm gonna say 1.
Okay.
I don't even know what 1 is. So dolphins are no longer in the aquarium, which
Nick says 1. All right.
no, in the aquarium there's no longer dolphins. 2's tricky because I feel. Yeah, I think 2 is true, but I feel like I saw them like within the last couple years. So if we're talking recently, then 2 would be true. 3, the entire movie cast reprised their roles. Okay, so movie cast, like people that did the voices, or we're talking like the actual characters in the film?
Well, no, the movie cast, the voices.
I'm gonna say
Like
it's
Ellen
3.
DeGeneres and all the
Correct.
rest.
And you are correct. So the Dolphins actually were just recently removed. They were removed in 2024.
Yeah.
Ellen DeGeneres does not voice Dory, and Albert Brooks does not voice Marlin. However, Mr. Ray, Crush, Nemo, Squirt, Bruce, and Peach are all still voiced by the original actors. But Ellen DeGeneres is not actually in the attraction. So they found voice actors that were very close and were able to emulate those voices. Sounds like them, doesn't it? But it's not Ellen.
Okay, so where's the scene with the arm? Because I don't remember that.
We're okay back here. What's the scene with
the angry fish that's chasing
the
him
angry
around,
fish
isn't
that's
it?
chasing him around?
Yeah.
And for bonus points, anybody know where else a Kuka robotic arm was ever found in Epcot?
Oh no, I thought Hollywood Studios, but no,
Nope.
not there. Epcot.
It's not there anymore.
Would it have been
Hi, Caleb. Welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Maelstrom, maybe?
No, actually, it was not in Maelstrom. It was actually in Interventions. Do you remember the Sum of All Thrills?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, the Sum of All Thrills. And so that was a Kuka robotic arm. And so it's the
Okay.
same arm.
Okay.
Yep, same arm.
Huh.
Alrighty, so we're sticking with the land. Actually, no, correction, not sticking. We're moving over to the land, sorry. Living with the Land was the name of a song and an attraction. Symbiosis was an original attraction, and Kraft Foods was the original sponsor.
I feel like 3 is true. Living with the Land was the name of a song and an attraction. Well, we already know it's the name of an attraction. So
Nick says 1.
I'm going with 2.
True. All right. Matt says 2. Megan, what do you think?
I'm gonna say 3.
Okay, we got all 3. So who's correct? It actually is 1. Nick was right. It's not living with the land; it's listen to the land. This is another one where I changed the name a little bit and caught you. No, the original attraction was called "Listen to the Land," and the song that is still now called "Listen to the Land." Later, it was changed to "Living with the Land." Soarin' was originally designed for the Land Pavilion. Listen to the Land, the original attraction, had a live host originally. And Food Rocks replaced Kitchen Cabaret.
I'm going to say 1.
I'm also going to say 1.
Okay. We'll give a second to see if Nick or Caleb want to say anything. We'll hold 2 seconds here. So you don't think that Food Rocks, you think that Food Rocks did replace Kitchen Cabaret and Listen to the Land originally had a live host. Nick says 2 right here.
Yeah,
So
I feel like they had a
who is
live host.
Actually, it was 1. No, so Soarin', later called Soarin' over California, was originally designed for California Adventure back in 2001. And it opened at Epcot in 2005, 4 years later. And yes, originally, Listen to the Land and Living with the Land originally had live hosts that would be in the boat with you. And it wasn't until probably around 2010 or a little bit later than that they replaced it with just the recorded narration.
I was going to say, I remember those guys.
Yeah.
I do too. All right, so Food Rocks. Here are some of the bands that we hear in Food Rocks. Chubby Cheddar, which of course was a parody of well, I put Chubby Cheddar. Should have been Chubby Checker. Yeah, Chubby Cheddar and Chubby Checker. Yeah, Nick was going to say 1 because of Disneyland, and that was right.
Yeah.
Freezer Police, which is a playoff of the Police, or the Peach Boys, which was a spoof of the Beach Boys. So,
I want to say it was 3. I don't think there was a Peach Boys. I remember
think it's
Sting, and I remember Chubby Cheddar.
okay.
I have no idea. I don't remember. I remember doing Food Rocks. I remember nothing that was in there.
Well, actually, it was because it was called the Refrigerator Police,
Oh,
not the Freezer Police.
You know these Chuckisms.
See, I got it.
You
you got to get these little details here. But it's funny. A lot of the artists actually lended their voices to the show, and Nick said 3. Actually, the Peach Boys was there. Many of the artists that were spoofed actually did lend their voices to the attraction. All right, so we're going to head to Soarin' Around the World, and we visit Mount Kilimanjaro, Monument Valley, and Victoria Falls.
Never done it, couldn't tell you. I'll take a stab at 2.
My favorite attraction.
Shoot.
I'm using the chat as a lifeline.
So
I'm
which
gonna say-
destination in Soarin' Around the World is not true?
I'm going to say 3. I
Okay.
don't remember. I've had to look up everything that's in that before, so I really should know.
It's probably Schweitzer
Nick
Falls.
says 1, it's the Matterhorn. Actually, Nick, you're correct and incorrect at the same time. We have the Matterhorn and Mount Kilimanjaro. There are 2 mountains there. But it's actually Victoria Falls is the lie, because it's not Victoria Falls. It's Iguazu Falls, which is in Brazil and Argentina. But there are a lot of guests who mistake that and think, oh, it's Victoria Falls, which is in Zambia and Zimbabwe. All right. So in Soarin' Around the World, every version has a customized final scene. Every version includes a pass by the Eiffel Tower, and every version uses the same score. What do you think? Every
I'm gonna
version has a
say
customized
2.
final scene. Every version uses the Eiffel Tower, and every version uses the same score. Nick says 2 is the lie. Number 2 is the lie.
I'm going with 2. I'm going with the chat.
All right. Megan?
Ooh. I'm tempted to say 2. Just to be different, I'll say 3, because I got stuck between these 2, so I'm just
Well,
gonna-
2 is actually correct, and it's close because only the version at Tokyo Disney Sea, I've been on that version, I'll tell you it's a really cool version, goes by the Tokyo Tower, which is a tall tower in Tokyo itself, instead of the Eiffel Tower. But each version does have a customized final scene, and then they all do use the same score for Soarin' Around the World.
Speaking of Soarin', very quickly, because I kind of stumbled into, didn't really mean to, a video of the new USA version. I'm not giving spoilers, but if
Yep.
you have seen the video of it, or if you've ridden it, I would love to know your thoughts, because I have thoughts and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but I want to know what people think of this, because I have all the thoughts.
Uh-oh. That sounds like they're not positive thoughts either, but Anyway, so Journey into Imagination. We're heading over to the Imagination Pavilion. Dreamfinder, long-lived Dreamfinder, uses the idea bag. He rides, the Dreammobile, and he gets dreams, and they are stored in the Dream Vault.
It's either 1 or 3, I feel like. And I'm going to go with Nick on this one. I'm going to say 1.
Yeah, Nick says 1. What do you guys, Megan, what do you think?
I'm going to say 2.
Okay. It's actually 3.
Uh,
So if you listen to the old, to the story, or to the song, it actually talks about it being stored in the Dream Port, not the Dream Vault, which is never a way when you use your imagination. It used to be you could see the Dreammobile over in Mouse Gears, which was the shop in the Innovations area. Of course, now that has all unfortunately gone away. Maybe one day Dreamfinder will return, but not right now. Dr. Nigel Channing for Journey into Imagination is our current host. Figment was completely cut in one version of this attraction, and the current version is about half of the original.
okay, 1 is true.
I'm going to say 3.
I was going to say 3 as well, but I feel like that's not right. For some reason, I'm going to say it's 2.
Nick says 2 as well. All right. And you are correct. It is 2. So the second version of this attraction only ran for about 3 years, from 99 to 01, before another refurbishment. And frankly, it was due to intense dissatisfaction and anger, because Figment was just about removed. He wasn't completely cut, but it was darn close. He was in the pre-show for just a little bit, and then only one audio clip near the end of the attraction. He was not found in the attraction, and that's when the new version came in 2001. And of course, as we note, Dreamfinder never returned. Long live Dreamfinder. We wish he comes back. All right, let's head over to the other side of Future World, to Guardians of the Galaxy. So the opening of this attraction was delayed by 2 years due to the pandemic. It is the most expensive coaster in the world currently, and it is the longest indoor coaster in the world currently.
Crud.
I have a feeling it's 3, and I don't know why.
Nick says 3. Nick agrees with you, Matt. Nick says it's
I'm
3.
sure there's something else overseas that they've done more recently.
Okay. What do you think, Megan?
I think they're hard. That's what I think.
What?
You think I'll make these easy for you? Come on now. Our listeners want something challenging. This is where the mind meets the magic. We're exercising your brains here. Or frying them up. One of the two.
Mine's closer to fried, but that's not that's not so much a mouse cast and a chuck thing. That's more like, having a small children thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with the guys. Why not? I don't think it's the
All
longest
right.
coaster.
Guess what, guys? It's actually 1. It actually is only delayed by 1 year, but the other 2 statements are completely true. Guardians of the Galaxy is currently the most expensive coaster in the world, and it is currently the longest indoor coaster in the world.
Should
Currently.
have gone with my gut because it
Currently.
didn't feel like that was right. And
All right. So in Guardians of the Galaxy, there is not one reference to Marvel. The entire cast reprised their role, and Centurion Tal Marek greets guests in the queue.
All right, phone a friend, chat. What do we got?
I'll say this one's all up Matt's alley. He loves roller
what, you got,
coasters.
every time I go, I write it at least 3 or 4 times, Chuck. You got me pinned.
Yep. Nick says it's number 1.
Hawk, you need to hop on for this one. I'm gonna say, it's 3, just because there was something about the reprise roles earlier that wasn't true, so I feel like it's going to be true in this one. And
All right.
I don't know. I'm leaning 3.
Megan, what do you think?
I'm going with Nick on 1. I'm having trouble coming up with what it is, but I feel like there is a Marvel reference somewhere there, and I just
All
can't
right.
come up with it.
Well, actually, it is 2. So there is no reference to Marvel. Why? Because we are in the East Coast and east of the Mississippi. Disney cannot make any Marvel references due to those people in that shadowy place down the road. The entire cast did not reprise their role. Rocket and Groot are not voiced by Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. There are other voice actors who, very similar to the Seas Pavilion, to Seas with Nemo and Friends, they've mimicked their voices. They found somebody who sounded very similar and filled in for them. If you go back and you listen to Rocket the next time, you can tell it's definitely not Bradley Cooper. It's kind of close, but it's definitely not Bradley Cooper. So, all right. So over in Ellen's Energy Adventure, we're going to go where Guardians of the Galaxy, what came before Guardians of the Galaxy. Nick says, wait, can you explain the East Coast, West Coast thing? Yeah, so because of legal issues, Universal still owns the theme park rights to the phrase Marvel. And so Disney cannot refer to Marvel in Orlando. They cannot refer to Marvel in Orlando at all. They can have some Marvel characters, certain ones. That's why you don't see Spider-Man, you don't see Iron Man and the Hulk or anything like that in Orlando because of a legal. Universal still owns the legal theme park rights. So because of that, they can't reference Marvel in any sort of thing on the East Coast. You can have Marvel Campus and all that on the West Coast and overseas, but east of the Mississippi, no official word Marvel for Disney and several other Marvel things. So it has to be very, very careful. So again, open Ellen's Energy Adventure, which was in this space before Guardians. It opened in 1986. The final Jeopardy answer, if you remember this attraction, was Brain Power. And Ellen was playing against Julie and Einstein.
I'm going to go with 1. I'm going to pretend like Chuck just gave us the answer and gave us the wrong year. And I'm going to go with 1.
Nick says 2 on this one. Matt?
I'm going to say it's... opened in 96. That sounds about the start of Ellen, so that kind of makes sense. So...
Nick is changing his mind, and Nick says, no, wait a minute. It's 3.
Yeah, I was going to lean 3 myself, so I'm going to go with that one.
Well, you are right, because it is, and it's interesting. I didn't change the question. And it also, guess what? Used 6 ride vehicles. I forgot to change that one. But Ellen was playing actually against Judy, and if you remember, there's a famous phrase that's from that. Everybody remembers stupid Judy, stupid energy. No, actually, Nick, it was not Bill Nye. Bill Nye helps Ellen, but Bill Nye is not a competitor on Jeopardy. It was Judy, who was an energy expert, and Einstein, who of course didn't fare very well. So yes, and of course the famous phrase "stupid Judy, stupid energy." All right, so it's time to head over to Horizons. I have my Horizons shirt on. This was not an opening day attraction. The original name was to be Future Probe, and it is a sequel to the Carousel of Progress. If you know,
I feel like 2 is
easy.
going to be the lie. There's just no way.
Which one?
I think it's number 2 just because of the name.
Okay.
I just don't see it, Disney. I'm sorry.
Megan?
Oh.
Nick says he wants to say 1. Okay.
Well, then say it, Nick. Just say 1.
He just did. There we go.
Say it with confidence, Nick.
I'm going to say 2 also.
All right, and it is 2, and you're correct. That was why. So the first conceptual name was called Century 3, and then it was changed to Future Probe before somebody went, we probably shouldn't have the word probe in a name.
Yeah.
And they changed it to Horizons when it opened in 1983. And of course, yes, it was not an opening day attraction. And a little note to Tom that I found another way to sneak in Carousel of Progress. Even though Huck is not here, we always want to try to give a little bit of Carousel of Progress, which, by the way, will be our topic next week. A little tidbit there. All right. Mission Space. So in Mission Space, we are transported, and when we take place in our mission, it is the year 2056. The original Capcom was played by Gary Sinise, and we are flying the X-2 Deep Space Shuttle.
I have never ridden Mission Space.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
you should at least do green.
No,
Green
thanks.
is not bad at all.
But
If
I
my
feel
wife
like
won't do it, I'm not going to do it.
I feel like number one is true because I feel like it's going to be one of those. It's going to be that Chuck thing where, like, yeah, it was Gary Sinise, but it wasn't Capcom. It was another name, or the name of the shuttle is just enough. I'm just not sure which one.
We're trying to figure out
Now,
the
Megan,
Chuckism. Where did he
Megan, do
tweak?
you think I would be that little bit where I would just change some little tiny detail just to
really
make
do,
it a
Chuck.
lie? Ugh, Megan, really?
Really, really do. I just have no idea which one of it these because I've
it's-
never even walked into the queue. I've never gotten
Nick
to
says
the
it's
doors.
3.
I feel like Gary Sinise is part of it, and yeah, does he tweak it into? I'm going to say, I'm going with 1. I don't know why.
I'm
And
think
actually,
it's
you're
different
correct because I did just tweak a little detail. It's actually the year 2036, not 56, which is interesting. You get this; it's very subtle. You only get this from the pre-show posters, which you'll see. The posters of space travelers throughout time, and they go back to some original ones, Buzz Aldrin and company like that, and then go forward to 2036, where it's the crew of the current X-2 Deep Space Shuttle. And so it was number 1. It's not 2056, but it's 2036, which, by the way, is only 10 years from now. So
Yeah, what are they going to do with this? They got
saying
to.
we're going to have to. We're going to have to get some technology going here if we're going to go ahead and have the X2 by 2036. So, alrighty. So in the green mission. So just remember, for those who aren't familiar with Mission Space, the green mission is an orbit around the Earth. The orange mission is a mission to Mars. All right. So in the green mission, we don't fly over the southern hemisphere at all. In the orange mission, part of our journey includes hyperspace. And in the third one, for both of them, we are part of the training crew with the ISTC. Nick says, get rid of Mission Space. Ooh, ouch. Wow. Doesn't like Mission Space, huh? I'd bring back Horizons, personally. And I did, by the way, in Epcot. But I did keep Mission Space as well. I got rid of the Wonders of Life Pavilion, brought back Epcot.
I'd love to see a very close tied Disney NASA. I'm like, I still want to go to the islands. I still want to go to the beach.
Yep.
Collaboration on something.
I think that would be cool, a Disney NASA, because they're so close together. So Nick says, I think it's 2 because it's both.
Oh, hyperspace in both, maybe.
Yeah, I think
but
you said
like
hyperspace in
the
both of them.
chinchilla one in hyperspace would throw you, so I'm going to say, for some reason, 3 is just jumping out at me, and I feel like Chuck changed something again.
Okay.
I'm with Matt on this one. I think he's like swapped some letters around or something.
Would I do that again?
Yeah,
No, I would not,
Oh.
because the orange mission. Well, yes, I would, because it's not hyperspace; it's hypersleep. But so here's the thing, though, that's surprisingly true. In the green mission, we actually don't go into the entire southern hemisphere. We never cross the equator. So and it is hypersleep, not hyperspace. So yes, I did change a word or two. All right, so we're going to wrap things up with a couple of questions about Test Track, and then we'll save World Showcase and some other things for another day. So a well-known game show host was part of the original pre-show. The original version opened 2 years late, and the original version included German and French blocks and cobblestones. So what do you think?
2.
Okay.
I don't know why. Just
Nick agrees with you. He says it's 2.
I also agree. I think it's 2. But this better not be one of those things like you did with whatever that question was back there where like It's not German, but it's British or, whatever.
Funny you say that because
Come on, Chuck.
it's German and Belgian. And I thought for anybody who knows, I mean, they're kind of very well known in, German and Belgian blocks. I remember it because if you're in the original version, it references them very clearly. And it was all based on the General Motors proving grounds, the Milford proving grounds. And John Michael Higgins, if you watch Game Show Network at all with, America Says and several other things, he's a well-known game show host, and he played Bill McKim in the original attraction. And so for Test Track 2.0, we ride in the OnStar car. The 4 testing attributes that we were looking at the time was capacity, capability, efficiency, responsiveness, and power. And the track was renamed and called the Sim Track.
I'm going to say it's 2, and one of those things is just, you changed something again, Chuck. Trying to
Nick
slide
says it's
one by.
3. How well do you remember Test Track 2.0?
The details of it? Yeah, no, I don't. I can't. I got too much other stuff in my head. I'm gonna say 1, just to be different.
And 1 is correct. It's called the Sim car, not the OnStar car. Although, this is another, I tried to trick you because the car does connect to OnStar at the very beginning.
I remembered OnStar being part of it, but I didn't remember any reference to an OnStar car. That's
correct. And you were right. I tried to trick you on that one. And it's not the OnStar car. It is called the Sim car on the Sim track. And so we'll finish off with Test Track 3.0. So when we went to Test Track 3.0, which is the current version, the design studio was removed. The vehicle is driven entirely by AI, and the top speed for the final loop is 70 miles an hour.
Let's say 1.
I think it's 3. I think it's actually 69. I think it's just a tad under 70.
Okay. No thoughts? Nick agrees with you, by the way. He says 3. And you are correct. It is 3. Actually, it's about 65. Yeah, it's usually like 64.9, somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah. But yeah, we don't get up to 70 miles an hour. But the vehicle is an AI vehicle now. In fact, it says, "Hi, I'm your AI vehicle." The design studio, of course, was removed. It's just a kind of a pre-show now that just shows off some cars and things like that. So we're going to hold it off there for now, and that is game night for tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to Nick, also to Caleb, who was with us tonight. A reminder that we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to have a guest with us. Tom's going to be with us next week, talking about the Carousel of Progress, and Hawk can't wait for this show. He absolutely can't wait for this show. Nick,
he's researching.
Yes, that's right. So, Nick, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. By the way, we also want to remind you of our question of the week coming up this time. It's getting a little warm in Florida. Gee, what a surprise. So we're going to ask you, you get to pick one and only one. What's your best way to beat the heat at Walt Disney World? We'll have a few options for you to choose from, and you get to select one and only one way that you're going to beat the heat at Walt Disney World, and we'll share our results next week.
And then Chuck and I, after we go to the parks this summer, we're going to try all of the options out, and we're going to report back on what the definitive.
Yes, we will, because I'll be there in July when it's
and
nice
I'll be
and
there
hot.
in August. So.
Yeah, when it's nice and hot, and so we'll tell you exactly whether or not that's a great way to beat the heat. So want to say a huge thank you. Hey, a reminder, share out the fact that you've been enjoying Mousecast, or if you're listening to us on the podcast edition. We are live every Tuesday night, right here on Facebook, right here on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. every single Tuesday night. So we hope that you'll join us. Invite some friends. Also share out the fact that you're listening to Mousecast, and hopefully you're enjoying it, and share out and encourage others to listen to the audio podcast version or join us on the live versions as well. I want to, again, say a huge thanks to Matt and Megan, who are with us tonight, and to all of our viewers. So until then, guys, we'll see you next week for a deep dive on Carousel of Progress. This is Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. And so until next time.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.